All right, what is going on, Notre Dame fans? I'm Tyler Horka. That's Jack Sobel. We are with blueandgold.com, Blue and Gold Illustrated at Notre Dame Stadium. As you can see, touchdown Jesus lit up in green, and there's the Golden Dome behind us as well. On site at Notre Dame Stadium, where the Fighting Irish just really put a beatdown on the number 10 USC Trojans, handing their rival their first loss of the season. And Jack, I'm going to start with this. There's so many things to talk about, but let's face it, Caleb Williams, a lot of stars in that game. He is star number one. He's the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. He didn't look like it tonight. This was the worst college football game that I've ever seen Caleb Williams play, and the Notre Dame defense had a lot to do with that.
Look, it starts up front for the Notre Dame defense. It absolutely starts up front. That front four was doing two things. They were beating USC's offensive line. They were beating them off the ball. They put a bunch of good moves on. The best move that I saw put on was a Riley Mills swim move, I believe. It was incredible. Javonte Jean-Baptiste had plays where he just slid right by a guy on the inside. They were incredible. And not only did they get past the rushers, Tyler, they stayed in their lanes. They didn't, with maybe one exception on the touchdown to Brendan Rice. They stayed in their lanes. They didn't let Caleb Williams make something out of nothing. That's where the secondary comes in, because they stuck to their receivers like glue. They have a word for it. I forget what word they have. Plastering. They plastered to their receivers. They did an incredible job. And they trusted each other, man. They trusted each other that they're not going to over pursue. They know the guy next to him has got him. The front four did. The front five, they rushed five a lot. Marcus Freeman said after the game, against a guy like Caleb Williams, you can't be scared. You can't rush three. They rushed five a lot this game. Credit to Al Golden for a great game plan. I mean, all levels of defense and coaching did a terrific job today.
I saw Sam Hartman, who had a modest stat line. I think he was 13 of 20 for, can't tell you just go to blueandgold.com. We've got all the stats there for you. But he threw 2 touchdowns, didn't throw an interception, modest stat line. He gave Al Golden a huge hug in the tunnel after the game. Huge smile on Al Golden's face. This is the second time in the last 3 games that Sam Hartman has said he needs to buy Al Golden a Ferrari. He might make the NIL money to do so. He said that he doesn't get paid enough for that. But, it was that kind of night where quarterback makes a couple plays, but defense makes the most plays. And like I said, it was you've never seen this out of Caleb Williams, because you've probably never really seen a defense attack USC's offense and all the playmakers as well as Notre Dame did tonight. And you said it starts up front. It absolutely does. It always starts up front. But what can you tell me about Xavier Watts tonight?
A lot. Oh, my God. Xavier Watts was incredible tonight. The 2 interceptions, 7 tackles. We'll get to some of those specific ones in a bit. 7 tackles, a fumble recovered for a touchdown, and the Cam Hart peanut punch. Fumble forced at the end of the game, and, I mean, you could see Xavier Watts. We weren't really sure on the field, like, who forced the fumble. We knew the ball was out. Yep. We saw Xavier Watts going absolutely ballistic, just the fist-pumping celebration. Marcus Freeman saw it right away, pointing at him, high-fiving. He was yelling his out of his mind. I mean, he was playing like a man possessed tonight. He was aggressive. He attacked. On some of those tackles, like, he flew from that center field position they have been playing a lot, flew down, tackled Caleb Williams for like a gain of 3 when he tried to scramble. The next player, maybe 2 plays later, he tackled Taj Washington, USC's leading receiver. Stuck to him, again, plastered to him. He himself talked about that earlier this week, actually. He made the tackle short of the first down line. That was on the second drive after his first interception. Had another interception after that. I mean, he was incredible tonight.
You mentioned something that Xavier Watts said in the Tuesday media availability that we get with players and coordinators. And I think that was kind of the theme for me coming out of this game, was Notre Dame players and coaches saying, we've got to be better and we've got to fix our mistakes. The Louisville game was unacceptable. And then actually making good on that and showing up here tonight and looking like a completely different football team against a better opponent, mind you. I mean, Louisville lost today to Pitt.
Yes.
Pitt's not a good football team. I think they were 1-4 coming in. And, of course, Louisville was undefeated. And Sam Hartman even said that in his press conference. He said, yeah, that kind of takes the luster. If there is a luster on a loss, it was the fact that Louisville was undefeated and maybe like an outside ACC contender, which they might still be. But USC is a better football team than Louisville. And Notre Dame took it right to them. Being at home helps. I think this team was fired up. But Marcus Freeman said that he wanted to fight against this being a fragile program. Yeah. And holy cow, did Notre Dame do that tonight. We've been talking, the first half of the season was where are the sacks from the Notre Dame defense. Notre Dame sacked one of the most elusive quarterbacks in college football 6 times tonight. You mentioned it. It all started up front. Before we get to some of the other things in this game, just how reassuring was it, if you're a Notre Dame fan, to see this team come out here and say, hey, okay, we need to play better, and then actually do it?
Yeah, no, it was amazing to see. It was that Notre Dame. I asked Marcus Freeman after the game. I'm like, what was the difference between the way you came out against Louisville and the way you came out today? He's like, I wish I could tell you. They just did. They were more prepared. They had a better game plan. They played faster. The defense played like we saw them play against Duke early in that game. They played fast. They were aggressive. They attacked downhill. Yep. They just looked like a completely different team, like you said. It wasn't perfect, obviously. We'll get to some of that in a bit. The offense still has a lot to fix. But, I mean, the way they fought, even on offense, they finally broke through that 46-yard Chris Tyree touchdown. They fought to the end. They were still fighting even when the game was over. Yep. I think we can comfortably say the Watts touchdown and the fumble force were in garbage time.
Yep.
They were still fighting.
Still getting first downs.
Yeah, start to finish. Incredible job by Notre Dame.
So here's the offensive stat for me. It's not the fact that Notre Dame only had 251 yards. They were outgained by USC in this game. Again, you can find all those stats at blueandgold.com. USC turned the ball over 5 times. Notre Dame scored 28 points off of those 5 turnovers. What's the only one that they didn't score a touchdown off of? The Xavier Watts fumble forced with, a couple minutes left in the game, 2 or 3 minutes left in the game. That didn't result in a touchdown, but it resulted in victory formation for the Fighting Irish. So that was telling. I think Audric Estime might have had a career-high 22 carries. He had 22 carries, I know that. I think that might be a career high for him.
I believe it beats his career high of 20 set in the Central Michigan game.
Yeah, and I think he might have had 20 at some point last year as well. So his career high was definitely 20. They leaned into him today, and I know he only got 95 yards, but he scored 2 touchdowns. He was responsible for 14 of those 28 points scored off of USC turnovers, so that was huge. And just when you thought that Jeremiah Love might be like 1B, Notre Dame kind of reinforced that Audric Estime is the bell cow. And, I mean, in a game of this magnitude, I know USC's defense has struggled mightily this year, but to walk away with 22 carries for 95 yards to 2 touchdowns, I think that was a pretty admirable performance. Again, the offense wasn't great, but what else did you see from that unit?
From the offense, I saw better run blocking. I saw better offensive line play. Definitely better pass protection. They didn't get those chunk plays that we've been seeing from this Notre Dame defense, but they blocked better. They played together as a unit up front. They made more plays at receiver than they did last week. Again, relative to the last week, they were the best offense in the world. And again, it wasn't perfect. I still want to see a little bit more creativity out of that offense. It's not necessary. I think Jared Parker called a fine game. I didn't really have any complaints with Jared Parker's play calling. I do want to see maybe a little more play action, a little more creativity on that offense, as opposed I know they want to run their stuff and just be better than the opponent. That doesn't always work. Yeah. I want to see some of that going forward, but those are nitpicks, and the touchdown was really encouraging to see. Sam Hartman after the game just talked about how proud he was of Chris Tyree. All he's been through, switching positions, struggling with drops a little bit in the past couple weeks, including today. He had one today, bounced back, 46-yard touchdown. A lot to work on, but some encouraging signs for this offense.
So that was one of my. There's so many play of the game candidates. It was a 11-point game at that point when Sam Hartman just perfectly places a ball to Chris Tyree. He said he didn't have to do much because Chris Tyree was wide open. Shout out to Chris Tyree's speed on that play. Shout out to Jadarian Price's speed on a 99-yard kickoff return touchdown. I thought that was one of the plays of the game as well because 9 minutes to go, USC scores again, makes it a 31-20 game. Notre Dame needs to respond. At that point, I'm thinking first downs, move the ball a little bit. Just if you give the ball to Caleb Williams with 5 minutes left and it's an 11-point game, you've done your job. Jadarian Price said, nah, I'm taking matters into my own hands, and in his own words, ran 140 yards to get a 99-yard touchdown, so that was huge. Let's talk big picture to end this video, Jack. I was just joking with you guys in the tunnel, but I'm completely serious when I say this. That sort of felt like a peak Brian Kelly type win, and I know fans might not want to hear that, but Marcus Freeman needed not just a Brian Kelly type win, but a win of any kind. The reason I say it was a Brian Kelly type win is because how many times, especially against ACC opponents, I know this is a Pac-12 opponent, and the Pac-12 is really good this year, so that makes it even more impressive if you're judging Marcus Freeman based on this game. But there were so many times where Brian Kelly-led teams would get into a little slog against a good opponent, and USC's a good opponent, but somehow you look up at the end of it, and I'm staring at the scoreboard, and Notre Dame wins the game by 4 touchdowns. Brian Kelly did that a lot. Marcus Freeman found a way to say the right things, put these players in the right positions. You don't win 113 games, whatever it was, Brian Kelly here at Notre Dame, without doing that a few times. Say what you want, say what you will about the guy. Marcus Freeman needed to put his foot down and win a football game like this, and his team did. I think he delivered. I think the Fighting Irish delivered, and they go into the bye week at 6-2 instead of 5-3 because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And big picture for me, we said after last week that this can still be a successful season, but the odds of that decrease significantly if they lose this game to USC. Yep. This can still really be a successful season.
10-2's on the table.
Honestly, I wrote about it this week at blueandgold.com. If you're saying if you're saying they're not going to make the playoffs, therefore Sam Hartman's a waste, that is just a false narrative, completely false. Going 10-2, making a New Year's Six game, winning a New Year's Six game is still on the table. That would mark a really successful season, a step in the right direction for the Marcus Freeman era, and they took a big step towards that goal today.
Absolutely. So, as Jadarian Price said in the post-game press conference, Ireland feels like a year ago. We're finally getting a break. That goes for the team and the media. So we won't see you doing one of these videos until 2 weeks from tonight or today. I guess that would be a daytime game against Pitt.
Also.
Yeah, a daytime game as well. I mean, what a stretch for Notre Dame. And I'll just leave you guys with this. I know this is a happy video, but I think Notre Dame's going to be looking back at that Louisville game and just kicking itself, because imagine if Notre Dame was 7-1 right now.
Yeah, you could. It might. So I'm going to give the glass half full view here. That I get that. I definitely get that. The glass half full view is that if you're a college football team, you're not going to play your A game on every night. It's just not going to happen. Even if you're undefeated Georgia almost lost to Missouri last year. I was there, but it happens, and sometimes you lose those games. Yeah. It happens. You can't dwell on that. You just got to move forward if you're a fan, and especially if you're the team, and you just got to enjoy this one. I think you got to enjoy this one without really worrying about what happened last week at Louisville.
Absolutely, and that's what they said in the post-game press conference too. And I'll just, one more thought on that. Who knows if Notre Dame comes out with that kind of fire if they did beat Louisville last week? I mean, every week it's a volatile situation. The bottom line is Notre Dame is 6-2. And that's better than 5-3, what it could have been if they lost to USC tonight. They did not. They emphatically won. Read all about it at blueandgold.com from myself, Tyler Horka, Jack Sobel, and the rest of our crew there. Again, thank you and good night, man. It's like midnight here, and that was a really fun college football game to cover. So, again, go to blueandgold.com for all the coverage of it.